your counting. In other places in the Quran, 300 years, 100 years. So the day of Qiyamah is not 24 hours. It will be a very long period of time. But there are 10 major signs. Who will volunteer from the sisters? Who will volunteer to give me those 10 major signs? Not my wife, eh? Anybody else? Yes, number 1, Dajjal. Gog and Magog, number 2. Wait, give her a chance. You get your chance, Jamila. Number 2, and 3. The return of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, the son of Mary, number 4. Alright, someone else to help her. Number 4. Pardon me? Smoke, dukhan, correct. Number 5. Dabbatul Ard, the creature or the beast of the earth. Number 6. Were you reading from the book now? I don't want you to read from the book. Number 1. Dajjal, who is known as Al-Masih al-Dajjal, Dajjal, the false Messiah. Number 2. Gog and Magog, or Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Number 3. The return of the son of Mary, the son of Mary. He didn't say Jesus. He said something more than that. He said the son of Mary is coming back. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is the son of a Punjabi woman. Number 4, Dukhan, smoke. Number 5, Dabbatul Ard, a creature, a beast of the earth. Number 6, that the sun would rise from the west. Number 7, 8, and 9. 3 movements of the... Don't look in your books now. This is the revision part. 3 movements of the earth, 3 landslides, the earth opening and swallowing what it swallows. 1 in the east, 1 in the west, and the third one in Arabia. Number 10.
Fire.
The one that the State Department doesn't like at all.
Fire.
That a fire would come out of Yemen and would drive people to their place of assembly, which is Arafat, where the assembly just took place for Hajj. These are the 10 major signs of the Qiyamah. In addition to these 10 major signs, we mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ spoke of numerous minor signs. This is a revision of what we had on the last day. Now, in this class we are going to make an effort to study the Book of Allah. How has the Book of Allah been studied? What are the approaches, what are the methods which have been employed for the study of the Book of Allah? They are basically 4. The first may be described as the traditional method, in which you turn to the ahadith, plural of hadith. What did the Prophet say, alayhi salatu wasalam, about a particular verse of the Quran? Then secondly, what were the historical circumstances on the occasion of the revelation of a particular verse? This is called asbab, plural of sabab, asbabun nuzul, or the historical circumstances. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Everybody knows when that came down. Everybody knows when that came down. The Prophet ﷺ had gone up the mountain, and the people had all come when he called, and then he proclaimed worship of one God, and then Abu Lahab opened his mouth and vilified the Messenger of Allah. And then came down this verse. So, Asbabul Tanzil, the historical circumstances pertaining to the occasion of a revelation. Number 3, sometimes we have a statement, an explanation, which comes from the early Muslims. Over here. And these are called riwayat. That Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu said so, or Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma said, riwayat, plural of riwayah. So the traditional approach to the study of the Quran depends upon these 3 sources, and the normal method is that you go verse by verse. So if we study Sura Kehf this way, and there are say 110 verses, we'll begin at verse number 1, and 6 months later we'll reach to the last verse, the traditional method. Then there is that method of the study of the Quran which delves into its meaning, its implications, and because there are conflicting opinions, conflicting schools of thought, you have a philosophical interpretation of the Quran. When philosophical thought is applied to religion, to seek to explain religious beliefs rationally, then this branch of knowledge is called, anybody? Theology. Theology. When you seek to employ rational means of explaining, justifying, defending religious beliefs, that branch of knowledge is called theology. So we have this approach to the study of the Quran, which is theological and philosophical, and it is something which is important. And then there are those who excel. They are experts in language, in the meaning of words, in the literary construction of words, in the grammatical construction of words. And sometimes a verse of the Quran requires that you pay attention to its literary construction. You pay careful attention to its grammar. And so you have those who excel in this approach to the study of the Quran. We may call it the literary or the philological. And then there is that very important branch of knowledge pertaining to law. There are verses of the Quran which have a legal import. فَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا, eat and drink, حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. What am I talking about? Eat and drink until the white thread is distinct from the black thread at dawn. ثُمَّ أَتِمُّ الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. Now you will begin the fast and you will continue fasting until the night comes. So we need to establish this as law. What is the legal commencement of the fast? What is the legal time of the end of the fast? And so you have a method of the study of the Quran which concentrates on verses of the Quran which have legal implication. And this is a very important branch of knowledge. Many times, a method of study of the Quran will not confine itself to only one of these. But then you have a bit of this and a bit of that combining together in one study of the Quran. That's going to be our method in this class, inshallah. Our primary goal that we seek to pursue in this class is what explanation does this surah provide to us which explains the world in which we live today. Now that is a challenging and a very exciting endeavor. The surah is identified with Dajjal, according to the word of the Prophet ﷺ. And so we are going to focus on that link of the surah with Dajjal. Hence you would agree with me that at the very beginning we would need to have an adequate understanding of the subject of Dajjal before we can embark on the study of the surah, and we will be doing that inshallah. We will devote one entire class to making a presentation, a brief presentation, which will help you to understand who is Dajjal. The traditional method is verse by verse. Our method is going to be different. My teacher of blessed memory, Maulana Fadl Rahman Ansari, he taught a very important lesson. He said that the part cannot be fully understood, cannot be grasped, fully grasped, without a prior understanding of the whole. When you discover the thread which binds the parts together, to bring them together as a harmonious whole, when you discover that thread, he calls it the system of meaning, the thread. Then he says, you can now turn to the path to seek to fully grasp and understand the path. So he warned us, his students, do not make the mistake of ever taking any verse of the Quran in isolation and attempting to extract its meaning and believe that you have fully comprehended and grasped that verse. Don't make that mistake. A warning to his students. Similarly, he warned, don't take any hadith in isolation and do the same thing. You will never grasp the totality of the hadith. Rather, he said, take all the verses pertaining to a particular subject. Take all the hadith. Take all the riwayat. Bring them together. Attempt to discover the thread which binds them together as a meaningful whole. And when you discover that system of meaning, then apply yourself to the study, the serious study of the path. You will see how important is this methodology given by Maulana when we come to the